decides? Hmm. Tomorrow after 7? I don't know what I just signed up for. We're gonna think like this. Hi, welcome to the Week 10. Now for the scores. Up first in Week 10, the Flying Graysons edge out the Alabama Crackheads 79-63. The top scorer for the Flying Graysons was Ben Roethlisberger, and top scorer for Alabama Crackheads was Mark Ingram. The 94th and Jockey Mobsters stunned the San Francisco Shabooms with a score of 103-92. The Hayward Huff and Puff surprised the San Jose Party Foulers 96-91. Top scorer was Mike Breda with 26 points, while Tyreek Hill got 27 for the Party Foulers. Nightman and C Plus El Mayo are kissing cousins with a score of 125-125. Top scorer is Zach Ertz for C Plus, while Nightman had Nick Chubb with 34 points. Now, in this league, once again, after a tie, the highest points in the bench takes the win. In this case, Nightman has edged out. In a total heartbreaker, the South Hayward Alfredo Boyos have lost 69-68 to the Reservoir Dogs on Monday night. Odell Beckham Jr. had 20 points for Reservoir Dogs, while Michael Thomas had 20 for the Alfredo Boyos. In another close one, the Sack King Trolls barely managed to beat out the Cucamonga Cracker Killers with 77 points to 76. Top scorer was Ezekiel Elliott for the Sack King Trolls, while the Cracker Killers had Alvin Kamara with 22. And now for best and worst. Worst is tight end Benjamin Watson from New Orleans, who had 1 catch for 1 yard and 1 point. On the opposite side of the spectrum, quarterback Ben Roethlisberger had 328 yards, 5 touchdowns for 37 points. In this edition of All Over Your Bench, the Alabama Crackheads headlines with Eric Ebron, who had 3 receptions, 69 yards for 25 points. And right there along is the South Hayward Alfredo Boyos, who decided to bench Aaron Jones, who got out there and just beasted with 145 yards, 2 touchdowns for 30 points. All right, so now for the open segment, per usual, we're going to talk about the Raiders and the 49ers. First, we're going to talk about the miserable Raiders, who have recently lost, and they lost badly to the Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego, 20-6. And I'm afraid it wasn't even that close. They managed to put up 3 points in the first quarter and then nothing until garbage time in the fourth. While the Chargers managed to put up points in 3 out of the fourth quarters and the most points with 10 in the second, they just outright played better. They made more plays. Everyone was in tune. But I guess it's easy to do that when the Raiders did not want to win. The players wanted to win, be it John Gruden and everyone above him in the office, everyone upstairs, let's say, does not want to win. And they're going to continue to lose, and they love it, because now with the Giants winning and the 49ers getting the tiebreaker on them, they have sole possession of the number 1 pick, as well as 2 other picks in the first round. And they're not done dealing. I still say they're going to trade Derek Carr. Derek Carr is a valuable asset, and right now he's just being showcased. Yeah, they're losing. Yeah, they're not scoring touchdowns. But they're still throwing the ball, and they're still making excuses why they're not scoring. So far, as far as everyone's concerned, Derek Carr is not the problem. Though we can all see that he has absolutely no direction out on the field. And it's not his fault, because they're just not giving him the plays that are going to make him successful. Let's take, for example, right towards the end of the game on that 4th down, when I applauded them for, going for it on 4th down. Though, to be honest, that was the only decision that you could make. And they decided to go ahead and do that, which I loved. I actually cheered when they were doing that, because I said, well, I guess finally they're trying to do something. But then they gave him a play that just confused him. They confused everyone. They did not call the right play for the right situation. They did the right thing in the situation, but they did not call the right play. And what happens? Derek Carr gets blown up and he just chucks the ball to the ground. Why? Because that's the Raider season this year. And it will continue to be that until forever. At least in Oakland, because they're not doing this shit for Oakland. They're doing this shit for Vegas. Instead of, you know what? Instead of calling John Gruden Chucky, I'd say we should all go Chucky Finster. On Monday night, it was a heartbreaker for the 49ers, who lost to the New York Giants 27-23. Now, in this game, unlike the Raiders, they were trying. And once again, they were trying, but they just can't close. Now, this has become multiple games where the 49ers have lost by 4 points or less and have not closed the game. So, one thing we know is that they are experts at not closing the game. Now, there are many reasons for that. For example, they just do not have the personnel to close anything. Okay? They're not going to close anything. Their few wins, one win came against the Raiders, who are horrible and are actively trying to lose. Their other win is against the Detroit Lions on the home opener, but again, that was with Jimmy Garoppolo, but that feels like such a long time ago. Well, they also lost their starting running back, who never set foot on the field. But Matt Breida has been just absolutely amazing with the amount of time that he has been given. Now, Alfred Morris has been sprinkled, peppered maybe a little bit here and there. Maurice Mostert, he was around, but again, he has a broken limb, so he's out. So Matt Breida has taken his opportunities and just made the most of it. Nick Mullen, now he went up for 250 yards, scored a couple touchdowns. But again, he's still very, very green, as should we say. So he's not accustomed to closing games either. Again, this is his second game that he's ever played. He played okay. He didn't play well. He played just okay. Matt Breida pretty much carried the whole game. I do have to say, now that we're so far along in the season, and it is just a lost season, like I said, they're in line for at least a second pick. I think the Raiders are going to stay losing, and they will hold a tiebreaker, if you will, for that number one. And then they'll end up, again, we all know they have the two other picks, and they'll make their picks. They'll do a lot of moving, I'm sure, and they will get something done eventually. But you also got to remember, they didn't just get 3 number ones. They gave up players that were number ones. So far they're breaking even with unknowns. So we'll see what they end up picking. But even with 3 picks in the first round, I still am not confident that John Gruden will make any good picks. As we all know, if we take a look at his draft career, if you will, out of the 80-plus draft picks that he made, only 3 made the playoffs, and 2 of them were after they were coached by him. So they did not make the Pro Bowl under his watch. So now we're 1 for, I think it was about 89. So we're 1 for 89 picks that have made the Pro Bowl. That, to me, says that he doesn't know how to pick. Especially if you're picking first rounders and they still don't make the Pro Bowls. If you're picking the first round, you're expected to make the Pro Bowl. I mean, after all, most everyone doesn't even go. So alternates make the Pro Bowl. So there's no reason for your first rounder to not make a Pro Bowl. So again, that just says that John Gruden is terrible at drafting. And seeing as he has 100% control, and Reggie McKenzie he's less than a puppet. He's just there waiting to get fired. He has a history of picking bad. He doesn't make picks well. Therefore, there's no way that having 3 picks in the first round is going to make me believe that he's going to do anything. After all, what was the last team that had 3 picks in the first round? The Cleveland Browns. And they Cleveland Browned it up. And now we're going to start going, well, they're going to Raider up. Vegas, Oakland, mostly Vegas, I hope. They're going to Raider up this draft. All right, well, that's it. See you week 11.